there.
Yellow.
Hello.
Yes.
Okay. Hi.
Hi.
Oh my gosh, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm living the dream. Not really. I'm doing good. I'm all right.
Yeah. I'm just Jazzy.
Nope. I wasn't ready for that to come out the way.
You gotta stay ready so you don't have to get ready, Paige. Okay.
Okay. Well, I will. for the future. How about that? That work?
I got you.
So, how you doing? What's going on in your life? Just tell me a little bit about what you do for work, and we'll start there.
Okay. Well, besides being awesome on a day-to-day basis, I promise I am not this cocky. Okay. But I'm a recruiter. Huh?
No. Continue.
I'm a recruiter by trade, so I find people jobs. So I started an agency where I had clients, and then I transitioned to in-house recruiting, and that's what I do. And I am also an upcoming entrepreneur. I'm launching my own DEI consultancy, and that's diversity, equity, inclusion. But it's a small business, so it's not fully launched yet, but TBD.
Baby steps.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, what types of things inspire you? Like not just like with your job, but with like overall things in life. Like what inspires you to kind of get you going and lights that fire inside of you and gives you that
Give me that
Yeah.
Well, first and foremost, my daughter, my tiny human. I think she's probably it. That's that's what it, because I think of everything I do now, just in terms of her and her future. And I don't know what my priorities were before I had her. I don't remember, but she gives me inspiration to keep going, to strive for more, to really dream big and follow my heart and just live to the fullest. Yeah.
Motherhood.
Precious.
Precious. So along those lines, like now that we know what inspires you, what are your goals and like your dreams, either as a mother and a parent or with your business venture?
Oh man. Whoo. I have lots of dreams, Paige. But I'll start with my daughter. I think every parent really in their right mind wants to give their children like a life that they didn't have growing up, or the life that they wish they had. Even though some of us grew up with really great childhoods, there's always more that you can accomplish. And for my daughter, her name is Autumn, I want her to live in a diverse place. I didn't have that growing up. And it does damage to your self-esteem. I want her to really grow up with a really strong sense of self, where she doesn't have to deal with being the minority and really suffering the microaggressions and the prejudices that come along with that on a day-to-day basis. And children are really like susceptible to different things in their environment. So if she is raised in a majority, I'll just say a European culture, she's not going to get that sense of self-love, Black is beautiful. It's just not going to happen. That's just not the world that we live in. So I want that for her. I want to make sure that she's set up financially, like she knows how to build wealth. She isn't reliant on anyone. I'm going to make it so that I won't be a burden to her when I'm older, kind of thing. So it's like overlapping
Yeah.
things. I have all these dreams that overlap with Autumn and her well-being, but I also have aspirations just to make this world a more accepting place, a better place, the place that Jesus wanted our world to be, where we are one as he is with the Father. Um, so yeah, just building wealth, giving my daughter an awesome life. I'm a single mom, so it's just like it's all on me. So I gotta do it right, you know. And other than that, I have other dreams, just like creatively, but I think right now my biggest passion is just really diving into this diversity, equity, and inclusion work. Um,
Solid. Those
yeah.
are really good dreams to have, especially like with Autumn in coming from my and your background, going to predominantly white schools, growing up and dealing with that most of our lives and having to navigate that and then trying to shift that now and learning that self-worth during that process and figuring out who we were as people and not based on what other people assigned to us and
Come
thought.
on.
And so it's been a
Yes.
journey all on its own. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think it's important to look out for that for her, especially early on, because you never know when it's going to be like, oh, this is the defining moment that's going to make that a reality for her or make life harder for her because she doesn't identify with the people around her. But definitely still like making sure she's around a diverse group of people um, is also a good thing because she can get exposed to different cultures and ideas and opinions and then form her own from there, which is
Yeah.
important. So
And have some empathy, you know. It's not like I want her to be raised in an environment where all cultures are represented so she doesn't have a limited perception of the world. Because the world is so much bigger than European and Black people. It's so much more than that.
there's a lot of humans out there.
Right. There are Asian Pacific Islander folks, there's Indian folks, there are Mexican, Latino folks, there's all kinds of people, folks that you wouldn't even know if you didn't venture outside a little bubble. So we ain't gonna be in no bubble.
Yeah. Break that bubble. But okay, transitioning. You talked a little bit about your goals and stuff with your DEI work. What got the ball rolling on that for you? Like what inspired you to start that and share with us your experiences along the way of getting to this point in your life?
Oof. Woo.
How
Well,
so how has the pandemic affected your ability to focus on that? Yeah.
okay. So I guess I'll start with what led me to this passion. I noticed a pattern throughout my professional career. I'm very professional and talented. I didn't think that for a very long time, and it wasn't till other people pointed it out and really I was able to identify my strengths through other people that didn't work directly through with me, that I was able to discover, hey, I am a competent, talented, gifted professional that brings many things that aren't normal to the workplace. And I've noticed that in every single job I've had. And I am loud, that's cool, but I am a joyful loud. It's like, make a joyful noise. So I'm making a joyful noise up in here, but it's like, sometimes my voice carries. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. With that as an exception, it's what really motivated me to get into this equity work is the microaggressions and prejudices I faced during my employment. Especially if you think about it, here in America, who is defining what professionalism looks like? Who is defining what success looks like? Who is defining how you get to the top? and who is being that net to kind of weed out who makes it to the top and who doesn't. It's not Black folks. It's not Latino folks. And I'm not going to say that there's a lot of European Americans that really champion DEI efforts, but inequities and particularly racial inequities have been so deeply ingrained in our systems that it's inevitable that it's going to show up in the workplace. It's inevitable that the corporate ladder doesn't apply to all people. And I say that to say, I constantly face those blocks, those roadblocks. Having people receive promotions when they have less experience, contribute less to the company and the team, but because they're white, they are more acceptable as a leader. And they fit those standards that are divided, corporate America has deemed appropriate.
Right.
And I'm not one to like hide. I think a lot of times people of color know that they have to deal with certain things, and it's really sad, but you don't want to be perceived as that angry Black woman. You don't want to be perceived as that criminal Black man that's going to speak like
the
all of the
or like, you know,
right.
You don't want to come off as that, but sometimes you got to.
I'm telling you. I mean, and if your employer is saying, hey, we need solutions to problems, and if a person of color is bringing those problems, it is a solution to those problems, it then becomes a problem that the mouthpiece is not coming from someone who is not in a marginalized community. So I think I could talk about this all day, but essentially I face so much backlash and so many inequities, especially, I'm not going to name who they are, but a most recent employer. It's a problem when you have an employee who is meeting your standards and it offers a lot of value to your company and goes above and beyond, yet you say that there's no opportunity for promotion. Mm-hmm. There's no opportunity. Well, you need to work harder. When they work hard, and then suddenly you hire someone in a higher role than them that makes 3 times more than you because that person is white. Mm-hmm. So it's like, we got to look at those kind of situations and be like, hey, there's a real problem in the way that we operate in corporate America, especially in tech. So I say all that to say, all of my experience has with the workplace and just noticing these inequities and being the type of person that's not going to conform. And I don't blame people of color for conforming and not stirring the pot. That's just how you get ahead. But I can't do it. I cannot do it. I will listen. I can't have my emotions, as you know, Paige. So
sure, I know.
My face will tell the whole story, you know. So
I know from experience.
So that inspired me, and then I promise I'm bringing it to the pandemic. So
you don't have to if you don't want to. But if it then let me know.
I got you. So it was a combination of that. It was just like all this tension, and I'm very passionate about like fairness. And I guess I didn't realize that until a year ago when COVID started and we started to really see what companies were made of and what people were made of, and how we treat each other, because all the fluff was taken away. And then all of a sudden, here comes all of these murders, unjust murders of colored people, Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, and the list goes on and on and on and on. And what really did it for me was when George Floyd was murdered. I was like, enough is enough. This has to stop. And sometimes you can just feel so overwhelmed because it's such a big problem.
Yes.
This racial injustice, and white people don't want to talk about it, but we have to talk about it. It's uncomfortable, but that just means something needs to shift.
Yes.
So it's in our systems, it's in everything that we do. So that also kind of propelled me to do different things. So the consultancy is one thing, but I also started a prayer movement for racial equality in the church, because that's another system that has racial inequity, which is a shame, because we were all created in God's image.
We were.
And he shows no partiality, and all that just believe that Jesus rose from the dead will be saved. Not people that have white skin, not just people that have brown skin, everyone who believes. So salvation is not like, it doesn't come with conditions, you know?
You're a little too dark.
Yeah. I know I created you like that, but you a little too. I kind of made a mistake. No, God makes no mistakes. Okay. So that just during the pandemic, I started that, and really met some really great friends just championing that. And I mean, we really have a lot of work to do, but it's just been a snowball for me, like more and more and more, learning about this issue and really finding the tools to combat these inequities.
I love that. I think this pandemic was helpful to a lot of people in many ways, which is part of the reason why I wanted to do this. It's just like, not only are people learning about themselves and like their own beliefs, because you think you know what you believe in, you think you know like all your values, and like, I am this way, and then this pandemic has been like, no, really look at yourself, reflect, and who you really are, but also see who the people are around you, like not just you.
Come on, you preaching.
And what's going on, like for real. And so I think that has been, I think one of the best things about this pandemic for me is just having to sit and reflect and look within and figure out who I was, and to figure out what I would and would not tolerate, what the world is really like. Not just like, oh yeah, some people are like this, some people aren't, like what's really going on, and to really think about it and pay attention to it, and to not just brush stuff off because, it's okay, it happens all the time. Like, no, it shouldn't be happening all the time. That's the problem. And so that's been a whole revelation in itself for me, especially with like the diversity and with the racial injustices and all of the inequality, and not realizing how present it was in my past and in different settings in my past, until reflecting back on it and being like, yo, that's what was happening then.
Right.
So.
Right. And it's like, I want to go back to what you said about like, you really having to sit back. We had to sit back and discover, oh, shoot, I'm alone here with my thoughts. I got to deal with who I am. Wait, who am I? So that, I mean, people, I hope, have taken the pandemic as an opportunity to really do some deep inner work, because it was difficult, a global pandemic for a virus that was never known to us, and we still don't know a lot about it, and how to really protect ourselves. And so it's like, how do I conserve who I am, what I can control?
Yeah.
So I hope people have taken that as an opportunity to really find how to conserve who they are as a person when a virus is trying to get to you. Um, but that's how, and so you said like, you looking back, you didn't realize how racism really took a part in some things that happened to you. And what I like to explain is microaggressions, particularly racial microaggressions, are like mosquito bites,
Yeah.
right? And
So
so,
well embedded and hidden.
and they hurt, but some can be deadly.
Yes.
Some mosquitoes can carry strains of illness and disease that will kill somebody.
Mhm.
Just like if someone sees a Black man go into a store and automatically assumes that he's going to rob the store, and then the police are called, and because of how the judicial system and government it interacts with people of color in this nation, particularly Black men, there is a high chance that that man is not safe. Not because of anything he did, not because of anything he said, but just because of who he is.
And it blows my mind that there are people who don't, not even that they don't understand, people who are unwilling to open their eyes to see that, to accept that. They're like, well, if he just did if he did the right thing, then he wouldn't have died. Like that doesn't always apply, especially not to people of color. Like you could do
Yeah,
everything right and still end up dead because you're Black or because you're darker skinned. Like it does not matter. And
not
that,
at all.
but I think, well, to me the bigger problem is the people who are denying that that is part of the problem, is that it doesn't matter if we do everything right and follow the book to the T. It's irrelevant because of
Yeah.
what we look like. They're like, no, that's not possible. Yes, it is. The past year has proven that beyond a doubt. But people are still
Oh,
denying it, and it blows my mind. I'm just like, I don't understand how you can deny it and you have everything laid out in front of you. Just like, here you go, here's a platter.
because it will expose that shame, and nobody wants to feel that shame and
Yeah.
that white guilt. That you don't have to own that guilt, but if that's, I feel like, is a indication that if you feel some sort of guilt, then you understand at some level
That is right.
how there is inequity and how you've contributed to it. And it's not too late to change how you think, how you're engaged with this, what you can do within your own circle to prevent these inequities and really promote equity
Mhm.
and inclusion. That's the key thing, is inclusion, because we can do all these things to make a place diverse, a country diverse, and welcome all these diverse practices and funding for businesses and all of this kind of stuff, representation in the government and everywhere else. But if you don't have that equity piece and inclusion piece,
Mhm.
like, are you taking steps to include this person?
Right.
And are you taking steps to see them as your equal? And people don't like to face that fact. Like,
I mean, there are definitely people out there who are trying and are willing to learn and make those efforts, but I think there
yeah,
are so many more who are not, that it's still such a problem. And I honestly don't know what it would take at this point to get other, like, more people on board to make it equal and inclusive, because this past year should have been like, hey, this is your whole reason why you should do this. And then people are like, no, can't be. Of course not. And I'm just like, what? So I don't.
well, I think it's gonna take a taste of the medicine that has been dished out.
I don't think so. And this is why. I
You don't
think
think
that
so?
if it were to like if we were to reverse it, I think it would be seen as an attack and a confirmation of their beliefs already. It wouldn't be like a, oh, this is what you go through. It wouldn't be or it wouldn't be received the way we would want it to be. It would be like a, see, you're proving my point, you know? So it's like,
I yeah.
yeah, that's my opinion. I don't know if that's how it would be received, but that's how I can see it playing out. And then being like, see, we told you. And I'm like, that's not the point. That wasn't the purpose of this whole thing. So yeah.
I definitely agree with that. I guess I was thinking it in terms of if the power dynamic shifted, if the Lord was like, okay, well, and I believe that the Lord is going to do this, where he's going to raise up a generation of African American and people of color as in leadership, and really shift and promote equity in that leadership, to force people to change their attitudes and really adopt an attitude of equity and inclusion. Um, so I believe, I have faith in that. I just believe it'll happen, maybe not in our lifetime, but like I tell every Anglo-Saxon, European American, or white brothers and sisters, there's so much you can do to impact this. You know, a little seed can do so much. It can plant an entire tree that will serve fruit and nourish the air and provide wood for warmth for people. And it's kind of the same with these attitudes, like an adoption of attitudes, and really realizing and taking ownership that, hey, you know what? I do realize that this is impacting people of color. I realize that I'm a part of that, whether or not it's involuntary or voluntary. And that doesn't mean I have to feel guilty about it.
Right.
That just means that I have to really champion the fact that we all need each other.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if one person hurts, it's going to hurt you eventually. Like, if you
It's coming at
it's gonna come at you. So like, if you have to think of it as a selfish way like that, then go ahead, like whatever you got to do, but eventually it's going to hurt you. So yeah, I tell my white brothers and sisters, like, you have more impact than you think that you do.
yeah. And it makes me think back to um like you saying, like if the roles were reversed, and I think about like all of the microaggressions I experienced, and I know at some point like someone had good intentions for some of the things that happened, but I'm like, if you thought for a minute or took a minute, a pause, and thought, hey, what if this were the other way around? How would I respond to this? Probably wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
Perfect example. I remember in college there was a class that I was TAing for, and the book that was being read in the class was Henrietta Lacks Immortal Life, and
Yeah.
it was an amazing book, and I'm so glad they read the book in that class. But then I remember being asked to sit on a panel to talk about the book, and it was me and this other Black lady in the community, and then like someone else, and then it didn't dawn on me at the moment that I was only asked to speak on this panel because I'm a Black woman. And like a little bit later, I was just like, oh my God. Like you literally, because I have no relation to this woman. I don't have cancer. I don't have any other connection to this woman other than the fact that I'm a Black woman in America. And it
Uh,
didn't dawn on me until like it was pretty soon after. It was like maybe like a week or two after. I was just like, what the? But like it hit me, and I was just like, wow, literally the only reason why you asked me to be on this panel and talk about this book is because I am a Black woman.
Man.
You thought I could share the experience or relate to it in some way because I'm a Black woman. I don't know that woman. I appreciate what she done for medicine and stuff, but actually I don't appreciate what medicine did to her in taking her
Yeah.
without her permission. But
Right.
I appreciate that we have so many medical advancements because of her cells and her contribution, but they need to pay her family. Okay.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, I was like, that's my only connection is that, I probably got a vaccine that was because of her at some point, and I'm Black.
Yeah.
So it
Dang.
hit me hard when I figured that out. I was just like, oh my God, I felt betrayed. I felt lost for a minute. Like, why would I agree to that? But at the time when I agreed to it, it didn't dawn on me that that was the reason why I was asked to do it. I was like, oh yeah, I'm a TA for this class. Makes sense, but that wasn't the reason why. Actually, it was the moment the other lady walked in that I realized why I was on the panel.
Oh man.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, it's because we Black.
Oh, I am so sorry you had to go through that. It's like they were trying to take the responsibility off of themselves because they felt some shame.
Yeah. They were like, these people to talk about it. And I was just like, I'll talk about it. This is an awesome book. And I was just like, why? Why am I talking about it? I just read this book like a day ago. Like, what? Not a day, like a week. But I was like, but why me? Like, I'm not an expert on cancerous cells or ovarian cancer. I think that's what she had. Or like, I'm not like a biochem major, or like, you know, I'm not pre-med. I'm not any of those things that would make it make sense. But I was a Black woman, so it made sense to them. And I was just like, that.
You probably look just like her, Paige.
Oh yeah. But that's what I'm talking about. Is like, I wonder if they had taken a moment and been like, okay, if this was reversed and this was like a white man in this story versus a Black woman, would I be comfortable being asked to talk about this on this panel?
Probably not.
Exactly. And I feel like that's part of the problem with society, is they're like, oh, I don't understand why you're so offended. Like, that's how the people miss the marks, like miss it, because they're not putting themselves in that position or reversing it and seeing how it would affect them before doing those microaggressions or those things to other people. They're not seeing how, if it were reversed, how it would affect them. They're not empathizing.
That's exactly, I was just about to bring up empathy. It's like when you have a certain level of privilege, you don't operate in empathy. It's just like, you can't, like, why should I have all this privilege, whether I want to acknowledge it or not? And microaggressions are things that either you can be unconsciously aware, like unaware or aware that you are portraying these microaggressions towards people of color and marginalized communities. It's because it's just all up here. It's all an attitude, and it's all just, it is the fruit of privilege. And we all have different privileges, but white supremacy and privilege is among the most powerful and destructive privileges that exist.
I could not agree more. Yes, I could not agree more. And it blows my mind how people can't see that and are unwilling to see that and to admit to that, because on some level they know they benefit from it. And they think that people of color are just trying to be I'm not gonna put words in their mouth, but I wouldn't say they're trying to be that they think people of color are trying to be problematic, but I think they think people of color are trying to make a bigger deal out of things than that they really are. But the fact of the matter is, we are sharing our experiences and what injustices we have faced, and then people are saying, no, that's not happening. Even when we have proof that it is happening, they're failing and refusing to acknowledge it. And I think it is because of part guilt. And I think part of it is because they know at some point they're going to stop benefiting from a system that has benefited them for so long. And that's scary to them.
Right.
Whereas minorities are groups of people who have struggled and worked hard and fought their entire life. So this fight is like nothing to us. We're like, look, we've been doing this our whole life. So for us to fight for something is not new. And it's scary to other people because they're having to fight a battle they've never had to fight before. And it's like blowing their minds.
I'm so sorry. When you I just thought of The Color Purple. I'm sorry, all my life. I had to fight.
I love Apple. What?
Kill him ever before I let you beat me.
Just in case you had to know, we acted together at one point.
Yes, I miss those days.
No, that was a longish time ago. That was yesterday.
Yeah, totally last week. Yeah. I have not been ever pregnant before, so yeah.
Anywho. So, with all that being said, what what do you want, other than like starting your own business and having that up and running? Like what do you see happening like in your future? Like what are your goals for your future in the next like 2 to 3 years?
Grinding, like just I I'm now going to be working with a really great company that is such a DEI champion, but I just foresee in the next 2 to 3 years really perfecting my craft and really having these important conversations and making change within the way we operate as at a corporate level, especially changing the attitudes of our C-level executives and big data and big tech and all of this, all these powerful entities that affect our everyday life.
What do you
Um,
what do you feel that you need to grow in order for you to start that happening and to make that a future for yourself?
yeah. So I will never I will always have to grow in the knowledge of how businesses operate, what is important to them, um, and things that I'm not even aware of, like mergers and acquisitions and like love policy and all of these different things, because they all intertwine, they all intersect. So it's just continuously being knowledgeable about what companies want, what they need,
Mhm.
who the people are that they consider to be the best for their company, and really learning how to navigate. Is that really the best thing for you? Or do you have like a discriminatory lens to what you think is appropriate for your company and what it does?
Yeah.
Um, so, I mean, those are just some things I'd have to grow in. I also probably need to grow in how to use social media for my business, and um, really upkeeping a business, how to make it thrive, how to not lose all my money because I didn't pay taxes every quarter. Like, yep. So, yeah, it's just a lot, which is fun to me, but always got to grow.
Yeah.
Communication, knowledge, business knowledge, industry knowledge, all that.
Okay. Well, that's all the questions I have for you, Miss Lady.
Okay. Well, it was a pleasure. Thank you for listening to me
Thank
talk about harsh things.
Well, I mean, definitely important, and I wanted to touch base with you because I know you are trying to create change, and you're trying to do it with your own company and starting your own company and
Mhm.
kind of becoming that model that shows people how to not only start change but to keep it going and to make it flourish. And so
Yeah.
that was very important to not only talk to you about why you decided to go into that, but to also like see what the process has been like for you and to see kind of where you know you see it playing out and how you can grow in it and get it going. So yeah.
Yeah. I hope I help somebody.
Okay.
Well, thank you.